March Facilitator Huddle. We have already gone through introductions. Our topic for the month is on Stronger Memory Book Club. So we're going to go through some different book club formats you could use in your Stronger Memory group, and then some popular books we've tried. I'm really excited about this topic because there's been over the years several books that we've read in our various Stronger Memory groups, but I haven't necessarily thought to put it together as kind of these different ways we could do a book club until recently. And then, of course, at the end, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A and sharing best practices. So I'll stop sharing my screen once we're done so we can all see each other again. Why are Stronger Memory Book Clubs great? This can be a really great option for content, especially for groups that want to continue past that 10 to 12 week period. We get a lot of feedback that people want to do Stronger Memory kind of ongoing. A book club could be a nice way to get content for your weekly group, or it could be something that we transition to, after someone has finished Stronger Memory. It's customizable, so we'll go through 3 different ways you could run a book group. I'm sure there's others, but based on the needs and preferences of your group, there's a few different ways to do it. And then it's pretty easy to facilitate. So there's so many online resources for discussion questions, chapter summaries, and continuations. Certainly you can use AI for a lot of that stuff, but also a lot of resources already exist, especially for popular books. There might already be someone that's done a chapter summary or that's come up with questions for a book club they were doing that they've shared online. So it can be a very easy lift to facilitate. The first format is kind of the traditional book club format. And I know a few years ago, our online group that meets via Zoom once a week did this. They've done this, I think, twice now with 2 groups. And this works kind of like a traditional, pretty much like your traditional book club. You assign a chapter or 2 for homework each week, and the group, reads those on their own aloud if they can for their stronger memory. But they kind of read those chapters on their own as homework. And then during the stronger memory session, we found it's really important to start with a short summary of any key points from that chapter. This is because sometimes maybe somebody had a really busy week and they haven't read the book, but also sometimes even if people have, they might forget a little bit of what happened. And so starting with just a short summary is really helpful. Makes sure everyone can chime in that discussion. And then you really lead with discussion questions and invite participants to share their thoughts. So this format is really heavy on collaboration, heavy on having the participants kind of lead and share their feedback. And a lot of the times too, you can come up with good questions that are maybe about themes in the book. So we're not looking at, fact-based or what did you think when they wrote this specific sentence or when you read that specific part. Some of that is good, but questions that are more accessible to people who might be dropping in or didn't read the chapter are things like maybe pulling out a quote and asking, what do you think about that? Or pulling out a theme. And like I said, there's a lot of resources online, and you can also ask AI to help draft some of those questions once you have your book. Another format, we haven't done this as a stronger memory group yet, but I do know several of our campuses do an audiobook book club where people come together to listen to an audio. So if your group is not as talkative, but they do want to learn, you got to pick a book that doesn't have 30-minute chapters. But you could start the session off by listening to a short chapter together or taking turns reading aloud. And this is really best for groups that are not going to want to read aloud on their own. Or I know our audiobook listening group is in a skilled nursing setting. So people who maybe have more physical challenges, vision challenges with reading a hard copy book, but they can still be social and listen together. And then again, depending on the chapter length, if it's a long chapter, maybe pausing in between for different discussion questions after certain sections, or you can have discussion questions at the end of the chapter if it's a shorter chapter. And then the last book club format I'm going to talk about is presentation format. And this is really more of a heavy lift on the facilitator, but this is letting, this is kind of putting together a detailed summary and presentation of themes or chapters from a book. So you might let the group know ahead of time what's going to be covered so they can read the book on their own if they wish. But really, you as the facilitator are kind of putting together slides or watching a short video on specific themes of a book. And like I said, this is kind of the heaviest lift for facilitators, but it can be really useful if you want to ensure your group is getting the information from the book, whether they read it or not. I know Kevin has been doing some of his monthly brain health talks on our campuses with Keep Sharp by Dr. Sanjay Gupta. And so he's doing a deep dive, which takes him more time, but it is a great way to make sure people are really getting the most out of it. We've also done this presentation format when someone in our group has maybe recommended a book about brain health that has some good ideas, but maybe is not something that would be useful or appropriate to recommend to the entire group. For example, I think the book is on my shelf, the book Reversing Alzheimer's by Dr. Heather Sanderson is a very prescriptive book about one way or several ways, but one kind of prescription of lifestyle changes and diet and keto diet, that one protocol that's really specific. So Michelle and Teresa kind of did a summary of that book because someone in the group really loved it and wanted to talk about it, share what they learned. But Teresa was able to put together a summary of, here's this book, here's some good things to learn from it. Here are some things that maybe other researchers have different points of view on and could kind of lead that without needing to spend multiple weeks on a book that isn't going to be as relevant to everyone. All right, now for my favorite part of today's talk. There are several books. We're going to go through 5. I really limited myself. We love to read on the brain health team. So these books we've either used for these types of Stronger Memory book clubs already, or they're books that have been recommended to us by other individuals. 2 of them are books that I believe have kind of just been recommended and then discussed kind of informally in our Stronger Memory books groups. And then 3 of them we've actually used in this way over the years. The first one is Atomic Habits by James Clear. The things that make this book great for a Stronger Memory group is that it focuses on small, manageable changes that feel achievable and empowering, especially for adults who may be overwhelmed by big lifestyle shifts. It has a strong connection to brain health by reinforcing repetition, routine, and consistency, and how they strengthen neural pathways over time. It's highly discussion-friendly with clear concepts like identity-based habits, systems versus government design that can spark meaningful group reflection. It's practical and accessible. Participants can apply ideas immediately, even between sessions, without needing to read large sections at once. And it's adaptable to different facilitation styles, working really well for read-aloud groups or those kind of chapter or theme-based groups. And a quote to pique your interest, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
Mm-hmm.
The next book is Breath by James Nestor. Our Thursday virtual group really was into this one. It has a strong connection to brain health, exploring how breathing patterns influence focus, stress, sleep, and overall cognitive function. It's highly accessible and engaging, blending personal stories with easy to understand science that invites discussion rather than technical debate. It encourages awareness of everyday habits, helping participants reflect on something they do all day, breathing, and how small adjustments can support well-being. It's a discussion-friendly format with clear themes, nose versus mouth breathing, slowing the breath, breathing less, that work really well for those chapter-based or theme-based conversations. And it's empowering and practical. It offers simple concepts for participants that they can notice or try between sessions without feeling overwhelmed. And then a quote from James Nestor in this book is, breathing is not just something we do, it's something that shapes who we are. All right. This next book, I will admit, I have not read with a Stronger Memory group, but it was highly recommended to me by one of our participants who was talking, we were talking about gratitude journaling and handwriting, and he shared that he uses gratitude journaling. He's been doing that for years because of this book. And so he gifted me a copy of this book. It's a really good one. And this can be a good fit, I think, for Stronger Memory Book Club because it reframes the relationship between happiness and success, showing that positive emotions can fuel performance, resilience, and well-being rather than the other way around. It has a strong connection to brain health, drawing on research from psychology and neuroscience to explain how our mindset affects learning, memory, and stress. It's practical and empowering, offering simple evidence-based principles that participants can apply to daily life. Highly discussion-friendly, relatable concepts like habit formation, social connection, perspective shifting that really invites reflection and shared experiences. And it's uplifting and motivating, reinforcing hope, optimism, and the idea that small mental shifts can lead to meaningful improvements in quality of life. And the quote from the author that I like a lot is, happiness is a mindset for your journey, not the result of your destination. So, it doesn't mean that we're always going to be positive. There are still going to be things that get us down, but that intentional practice of gratitude, taking time intentionally to look at things, not just as glass half empty, but as glass half full, or at least as, neutral. That can be a really helpful thing for our brain and our mood and our overall well-being. The last book we have on our recommended list here is the Book of Charlie. Oh, actually, nope, second to last book, I lied. Second to last book is the Book of Charlie by David von Drehle. This book is really neat, as it says on the title. It's wisdom from the remarkable American life of a 109-year-old man. This book really celebrates resilience and adaptability, showing how one individual navigated over a century of personal, social, and technological change with steadiness and optimism. It highlights practical wisdom for aging well, emphasizing focus on what we can control, letting go of what we cannot, and making those small intentional choices over time. It's highly accessible and story-driven, using engaging life stories rather than dense science, making it really ideal for diverse reading and cognitive levels. And it encourages reflection on memory, legacy, and meaning. Really can prompt rich conversations about life experiences, perspective, and lessons learned across generations. And inspiring and affirming, offering a hopeful view of longevity, purpose, and continued growth throughout the lifespan. One quote from Charlie White, who is the 109-year-old man in the book, is, "I focus on what I can control and let the rest go." And this book is a really great example. There has been, there's a lot of, short videos or interviews with the author of this book. And so I'm going to share, but we'll switch. There we go. A short video. This is from a podcast, longer clip from a longer podcast he was on with Simon Sinek. What does it mean to live a long and happy life? David Von Drels has spent 40 years covering big stories and important figures as an award-winning journalist, but the best lessons turned out to be right next door. David's latest book, The Book of Charlie, Wisdom from the Remarkable American Life of a 109-year-old Man, is a bestseller about resilience, American history, and what it means to live well.
What was it about your world perspective that Charlie challenged?
I say in the book that as young people, we are complexifiers. We take this simple world of childhood and we discover all the complexity to it. And the world is not as easy or as just or as kind as we thought or were told. If you live long enough, certainly in Charlie's case, what you do is you realize that, yeah, the world's complicated, but what you do about it is pretty simple. Practice kindness, practice generosity, spread joy. All these simple things Charlie helped remind me. The reason they're so familiar is because they're true. This is what works.
So with a lot of these books, and I'm sure a lot more.
What was it about
that maybe come to your mind? There are some great videos that you can share with your participants or play as part of your talks. So I just wanted to share that one. Our last book is Keep Sharp by Dr. Sanjay Gupta. This is a great brain health book, great book for Stronger Memory Book Club, because it reframes aging and memory, emphasizing that cognitive decline is not inevitable and the brain can really grow and adapt at any age through neuroplasticity. It has a strong connection to brain health, translating neuroscience into practical everyday actions. Built around clear, accessible pillars, 6 pillars of brain health, movement, sleep, nutrition, learning, and social connection, stress reduction as some key supports for brain health. And it encourages proactive and empowering choices, helping participants feel agency over their brain health rather than fear or helplessness. And it's discussion-friendly and reassuring, addressing common memory concerns in a really hopeful, evidence-based way that invites reflection and shared experiences. And one quote I like from this book is, "The brain can be continuously and consistently enriched throughout your life, no matter your age." And this book affirms, a lot like Atomic Habits, the first one I mentioned, this book also kind of affirms and reinforces a lot of the ideas that we've already talked about in the Stronger Memory lessons and curriculum. So it can be a really good choice. All right, I am going to stop sharing my screen and we will open it up to discussion and sharing of best practices. So let me get my...
Jessica?
Yes.
It's Diane. Before we go to that, could you tell me the name of the author again for the Reversing Alzheimer's book that you mentioned that was on your shelf?
Dr. Heather Sanderson. I can send you some information too, if that's helpful.
Thank you.
Let me see. I hid my meeting controls, so now I got to find them again. Let me see. Where did it go? I'm going to try to stop sharing my screen. All right, I can't see where anybody went. 1 second.
We're all here. We can
Yeah,
see
I know
you.
you're here. That's good. Michelle, maybe like see if you can send a chat or something. Maybe that'll help, or send me a ping. I don't want you to have to keep looking at my.
And as you were talking, and you were talking about the books especially, you're mentioning accessible. Does that mean wherever you could get multiple copies, or you have multiple copies in the house at Goodwin Living? Or what did you mean by that term, accessible?
Yeah, that's a great question. Accessible more so meant it's easy to get a copy, and kind of having different formats. So we have some with what's the word I'm looking for? Some have audiobook and what? No, let me try Task Manager. Some have audiobook, but also accessible in the sense of content, so that you can really clearly see which ones are most utilized. Or sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once while I'm figuring out this.
I'm sorry I disrupted the flow of things when I asked the question.
No, that's okay.
I must say it reassures us to know that we're not always the only one that have problems with audio-visual or AV stuff.
I know.
So if I am understanding you correctly, Goodwin Living would have some copies of this that could be shared with people in the Stronger Memory group. Those of us who are not part of Goodwin Living, I heard Utah, I heard I'm Ohio. I'm wondering what other areas of the country are on the call. How would we handle it?
Yeah, we would not, we do not provide copies of the workbook or of the different books. A lot of them have like different copies available through libraries, or a lot of people might have an audiobook listening program that they're already utilizing. So we handle it more like that. We don't have multiple copies. I think if you were to try to do the version where you read aloud together, that might get a little tricky. But maybe partnering with a library. We haven't done that as much. I know with the audiobook listening, it's easier because you just need one copy, and a lot of libraries now have programs where you can sign up for free to receive a copy of the program, of the book.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
When you do it through the libraries, Jessica, do they require you to only keep it for a certain amount of time, so you could only do it for one session, or do you keep it and you could hold it for X amount of sessions? I guess it depends on how frequently you do the sessions, but
yeah, it usually depends on how popular the book is. And you are able to keep the book out or renew it, unless it's a really new popular book and someone has a lot of holds on it. But usually you can keep the book for a few weeks.
Okay.
You can also talk to your libraries too, because they might have different, if they know that you're using it in this way for a group, even if you're a volunteer, they might be willing to help with some of that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm going to try something on Michelle's computer while we try to get my screen up. Let me see.
I truly didn't mean to mess up the flow asking that
Again,
question
it's
about the
really
author.
my computer being a bit difficult. So
This is really good, though, having a bunch of books recommended because you go through your sessions and sometimes you go in with a game plan, but sometimes whatever somebody says or some issue sort of changes things to 180 degrees in an opposite direction. So, books are something that aside from the reading out loud, multiple people that are interested in books or read a lot, it sort of gives a focus that's good for them, and then the discussion associated with it. So this is a good session, Jessica. Good.
oh, good. I'm glad. Okay, let me see. Michelle, are you able to share your screen? Because then I think you'll be able to kick me out if you just share and unshare. You can all look at my my vision board, my goals, and my little nieces. I don't want to end the call entirely.
What a couple little cutie pies.
I know. Thank you.
Hey, Jessica, have you tried Alt Tab, holding the two down, and it will
Yeah.
cycle through? Oh, you've done that. Okay.
You're still seeing, huh? All right. Well, I know a few people said they had questions. So while I figure this out, who has a question for the group that they'd like to talk about?
Well, I would like very much. I'm Joan Wilson, and I'm from Dublin, Ohio. I live here as a resident for almost 3 years. My husband has cognitive decline, and we've been dealing with this for close to 5 years. I have tried to get a stronger memory program going here, and we started probably 8, 10 months ago. My challenges have been consistency. The importance, of course, of the three areas of reading out loud and stronger memory and writing sentences. They understand, I think, the importance of consistency, where I, as a facilitator, have difficulty, and I'm a volunteer. We don't have a paid staff doing this. As a volunteer, I don't get the same people every time we meet. So we had a meeting yesterday, excuse me, and I had 10 people. And out of the 10, I have a couple and a single person who come consistently. The rest of them either can't find their workbook, or they're coming because they heard about the program and they want to start it. The couple that come consistently have been doing it for 8 months. And he has ADHD and dementia. And stronger memory has made a remarkable difference in their life. They are really spokespeople for the program. But it's difficult for me as a facilitator when I have people gathered that don't come consistently. And and have what I perceive as not a commitment to the program. And as a resident, and I mentioned my husband's in skilled care, we meet once a month. And what I'm recognizing is we need to meet once a week rather than once a month. So I'm open to any ideas or thoughts that you might have. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from other facilitators and let them share first, and then I know our team can share as well.
I found in my community, which is a 55 plus community, we have a community calendar that comes out monthly, and we're listed every Wednesday. And there are those that have done the 12 weeks of the program, and they consistently wanted to come, but they've occasionally somebody has brought somebody else, and as you say, they drop in, and so part of this session is explaining what we're doing, and so some of the others who had gone through it, that sort of upset them a little bit, because we're not getting anything new going. So we pretty much said, trying to keep the core people, however much it is. We now have 13 people. And I must say, each week, because we don't dare change doctor's appointments. If you cancel a doctor's appointment because you might not get another appointment for weeks or months. So consequently, we don't always get the same number. But we do have some core people, like you say, that are truly dedicated or committed. And the others, and I have to say myself included, I don't always do all three activities every day, but in some form or another, some of it does get done. Maybe the math is the thing that doesn't always get done, but the reading out loud and the writing, Lordy knows, daily life gets you going on that. But one of them, after our last meeting, one of the ones who came in later, who came because she wanted to do the socialization and also get some information about the brain health. And like I said, our sessions, we might start off with a game plan, but sometimes it comes off with something that somebody wants to get other opinions of and everything. But she said when we were leaving the last time, don't ever stop this group, because I know we're here for the brain health, but getting together and, knowing that I can come to a group and asking opinion, that really matters. And that makes me feel better. And, if nothing else, COVID has push the idea that we need to be connected in some way. So however it is, or however many people come, even if it's 2, 3, or 4, that's still beneficial. And so you're getting feedback on what to do. And that sounds like a soapbox pitch here, but that's what I found and I'm quoting some of the people from the group. So I hope that helped, Joan.
I appreciate that. Do you separate the core group that you have? No, you do keep them all together.
Keep them
But
all
you
together.
usually-
Because, it's very interesting. It's sometimes like when you have class where there's instructors, but it's interactive with the audience. Sometimes the people in the group have experienced something, and if you got the firsthand experience of what they found beneficial or what they noticed and
Yes,
everything. And it's
yes.
interesting, even within the group itself, sometimes people say, well, I can't really say I saw any difference or anything. But somebody else said, well, you're talking more and I can hear you a little bit more. That reading out loud, it really highlights the fact that you're working your mouth muscles and everything. It's not just your brain, it's everything else. Same thing with the handwriting. The handwriting improves with some people, or they get to do more before the aches and the pain comes in. So
Right.
so the group the couple that is there for 8 months, have they been doing the workbook consistently, or they've done other things as well as the workbook?
They do the workbook consistently and they have a set schedule and it's every morning. And it has made a tremendous difference in it. It's the of the couple, it's the man that is dealing with the memory issues. But he is able to make decisions. He's able to call and order a pizza. He was not able to do that at all. He couldn't balance a checkbook or do much math. He's now better able, he doesn't handle the finances, but he's better able to engage in decision-making conversations. So they just really are tremendous spokespeople for the program.
That's good to know and good to hear.
Yes.
Right. Any other thoughts for Joan or other questions? Rhonda, I see you joined. Thanks for joining.
I'm open to any suggestions or help I can get. I'm sort of there's one other person here that I'm a retired nurse and psychologist, and the other person is a PhD nurse, and so we sort of facilitate this program, but we are both residents here. So there isn't a
Yeah.
paid staff person that, is committed to the program.
I have to tell you, Joan, too, like I'm the facilitator, and I mentioned in my introduction, retired PT. In amongst the group, there's a retired nurse, and others have been in one form or another with the government, not necessarily health related. But there's a couple of times when I couldn't be there. And one of the things the group has said, don't change the time, don't change the day, because the consistency is what's important. Have it still at the same day, same time. And so that necessarily means that sometimes I can't be there. And they look at me as the facilitator. And I've occasionally tried to get somebody else to, start the meeting or just sort of get it going. And actually, usually it lasts an hour, but the first time when I went away and I came back and everybody said X amount of people came and we were there actually for an hour and a half. And I
Oh,
said, well, is that my cue to say that I actually should bow out a little bit more frequently so you can, no, 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 but it's a different way of perspecting, a different perspective on how we get those discussions going. So sometimes I think you just have to trust your gut to say that if you feel, and looking at the body language, this is one reason why I like Zoom too. When we talk, we could see other people either nodding their head or shaking their head or something showing that they agree or disagree with what you're
sure,
saying. So
sure.
getting it started is good, and no matter how long. But the fact that you've got somebody there 8 months consistently with the manual, that says something.
They are
And
amazing.
Yeah.
yeah, and I remember getting something from Taylor this week, possibly. My husband broke his leg a couple months ago, so we're
Oh,
dealing with
no.
appointments. So I have to honestly say I did look into what Taylor or the Goodwin Living Group said, but it sounded like it's again affirmation of the benefit of stronger memory. So I'll have to
Yes,
look at that. And
absolutely.
when the group hears that there's something technical or some testing that's done, it makes more of an impact on them too. It says, well, I think we really got to keep going the right way, go along the path. So another
Absolutely.
thought. Mhm.
Lorraine, I see your hand up. Actually, I don't know which one of you has their hand up.
Yeah.
Lorraine is just the name I read.
So, just a little bit of background. The center that Lorraine and I work at, our Bryn Mawr location, is the newer and also one of these smaller locations of Surrey. And every other location, I think when they first opened, they had different circumstances with membership. Oftentimes they were able to already kind of transplant membership from a previous location that was nearby. So Bryn Mawr's kind of had to build up their own membership by themselves. And we went from, like August of 2024, when I first facilitated Stronger Memory, my first month working here, we had like maybe one or two people for Stronger Memory, to now where it's regularly like 5 or 6 people, which, 5 or 6 people may not sound like a big number by itself, but that's like a 3x increase, right? And then
Yes,
sometimes it's 8 people. And I find that
absolutely.
and I think some other people have mentioned this, but like the community element. So, giving people space, like we've went from having a 30-minute program to a 45-minute program. So there's buffer time between the activities, so then people have time to kind of speak and small talk and develop relationships with each other. So then they want to keep coming back, not only to like, you know, help maintain their brain health, but also for these relationships that they've built.
Socialization. Yeah.
And I think, I'm not sure if it was last month or the month before, but like recent research that you guys at Goodwin Living have done has shown that when socialization is involved in the activities, it further improves the results.
Yes.
For a lot of people, is if there's food there, they will come. But
Yeah.
I think the connection now is, if there's somebody there consistently and they establish those relationships. The other thing that sometimes is problematic in a way is when you have a group trying to find a location. And in my community, the one room, the ballroom is ideal for privacy and everything. But the thing is, it's a beautiful room, but it's not necessarily good for hearing if people have some hearing difficulties and you see you talking, and sometimes you find yourself talking directly to the person who's asking a particular question, and somebody at the other end said, "What was that?" And or else you hear or you see people turn their head one way or the other to their better ear. So it makes you conscious also of how things are coming through to people. And if any of you have been through any kind of sensory kinds of drills where they deliberately change the wording or the volume of something, you can recognize why, if you don't get the whole thing, you lose the content or the main point of something. So having to repeat it over and over, I keep trying to think to myself, except I don't think we have enough microphones to have microphones there all the time. But I think we have to be cognizant of some of those things too, of how things are received. It's like there's a saying, like,
Absolutely.
what you heard is not what I said, but, explaining things out a little bit
Yeah.
is always good. And you said something that I think I said to Joan. I've come to the conclusion that when you start at that high number, if you started at the high number, as we did when the requests went out to the villages, and go down, you start to say, oh my goodness, the numbers are going down. You have to take away the point. Don't worry about the numbers. Just somebody is getting benefit. And if it's only a few people, that's not a bad thing. And word gets out, and you might find like we had to, say, okay, anybody joining, but have it at a fixed time. The community's sort of gotten used to that as opposed to an ongoing drop in kind of thing, which makes it a little bit more difficult. I don't want to
I
hog.
think it really fluctuates too, and sometimes there are seasons where I know the groups we run maybe don't have as many people, and then they do, and each group and each setting is different. I just want to validate what you were saying about your center in Surrey. Going from 1 to 2 to 5 to 6, that's a huge increase. Congratulations. That takes a lot. And I'm sure when it was one to 2 people coming, that 1 to 2 was getting a benefit. And now that 5 to 6, I'm sure it's a really close-knit group. And they have a lot of time for discussion. So I know Taylor and Kevin have been dealing with some of that. They're leading groups at 2 of our Goodwin Living campuses, and one of the campuses, their group is like 15 to 20 people, and then at the other campus, it's hovering kind of around 3 or 4, but that's going to keep growing. And Joan, just something you said earlier in your question, I think what we have seen is that if you can meet weekly, even if most weeks it's more of a check-in, you can always try doing a weekly meeting, but maybe once a month there's more of a content, bringing a news article or bringing something to share about brain health. Even if those other weeks are, let's just get together, let's talk about what we wrote about, talk about what we read, that social connection and kind of reminder to each week come together, can be a good reminder for people doing to keep people doing the habits. And some people will come to the class and never do their homework, and yet they still keep coming. So it is kind of interesting. We'll also see then, years later, people will start sharing, oh, actually now I am doing this reading aloud. If you've seen any of our YouTube videos with Wendy and Howard, Wendy is our CEO, Rob Liebrick's mom, who kind of, she inspired Stronger Memory and piloted it in many ways. And so I interviewed them when I first started at Goodwin Living 5 years ago. And at that point, Howard was saying, yeah, I don't really do any of the exercises on my own, but I can really see how it helps Wendy. And then the last spring when they were in town from Washington State, I got lunch with them, and Howard said, oh yeah, I read aloud. I love it. And I've started doing more writing by hand too. So sometimes it just takes people some time too, but that work is still kind of like in education, or you said you're a nurse with that kind of psychology background as well. It takes time for people to form habits, but that repetition and just being that source of support is definitely making.
I think we as facilitators sometimes have a preconceived idea of what we think success is.
Yeah.
But it's not just it's not our perception. And if they feel like there's something that's making them come. And I know in my community there's 5 condos. Each condo has 25 families in it, 25 units.
Wow.
Each condo has its own personality. And it's the same thing with the senior centers and everything. And it might not change, but again, whatever number you get, it's providing a benefit. And you don't always hear what they say after the fact as they talk to other people. And that's how information gets spread too, And it feels like with us, we constantly are talking about what it means to be healthy. And inevitably, somebody talks about not being able to sleep well, somebody that's got diet issues, wanting to curtail the water thing because they don't want to keep running going to the bathroom. But if you don't do that, there's consequences. So you're reinforcing some other things aside from the brain. But when you do all those things good, you are helping the brain. So things have a way of working out.
This is all very helpful to me. I've had residents ask me how many programs of Stronger Memory are going like throughout the United States.
That's a really good question. I'll have to get back to you on a number of current programs, because sometimes we find out we don't know that someone has started up again, or we don't know if they've stopped. I do know we've reached over 250 partners since we've started doing this outreach. I don't think all 250 are still doing it. Some people take breaks and things like that. So I'll have to look at kind of what that current active annual number might be, but we have about 250 partners and organizations that we have in our records as.
And I know there are many in Virginia, and I heard somebody say they're from Utah. Are there other states?
Yes, I believe we're in 46 states. Total, and the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago. Rhonda, who's on, who was typing in the chat earlier, she's packing to head there and do some more work. But yes, we also have a couple groups in Canada.
Oh,
well,
that's awesome.
I know the villages have a number 379 across the country. And how many of those started with the initial request in 21? I don't know, or how many have added on to there. So, yeah, it's hard to track the numbers.
I think in a lot of the villages, I think we're in about a third the last time I did the math to some extent. So that's been an exciting partnership. Yeah. And
That
a lot
is
of
very exciting to hear. That's
Yes.
wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. Absolutely. We
Jessica
love
and,
it,
and
and
Taylor and
we'll keep
everybody,
doing it.
that's what makes these meetings really good, these monthly meetings, because you bringing
Yes.
a particular topic is good for us to brainstorm and get an idea about some other ways of doing this, but also reinforcing with each other that, hey, there's no one size fits all on how to go about doing it. You have the main things, but it's whatever the
Absolutely.
group you adjust. So
Absolutely. And next month, our April call, I believe we will have Rob Liebrick, the founder of Stronger Memory. Yes, Michelle is nodding that that's confirmed. So Rob will be on. I don't know if he'll have a topic of the month or if he'll just kind of talk about Q&A, but I'll make sure he brings some updates. But if there are any questions you have for the founder of Stronger Memory, he loves to join and learn. So he might also be interested in asking you all some questions and getting feedback. But he'll be joining us in April, so we're very excited about that.
good session.
It's good.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. We will get this recording up. I say we, I mean Michelle. She's really the superpower behind all the emails. She'll get this recording up on our YouTube, and then also we can send out those book recommendations. I know Annie put a great book in the chat, Brain Food by Dr. Lisa Mosconi. That's another good book. If anybody has good book recommendations, let us know. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest
Thank
of your
you.
day.
Thank-